Well, I put a perp in, so I think this is a Venosa. I'm not sure. I'm not really up on my flatlanders at the moment. And the peas, have you noticed the peas have all already lost the colour? Whether that's whether this is the actual true colour of the peas in the packet, and all that green is just malachite green. It's been washed out. I don't know, but I got a picture and a little picture, a root and a bud sort of thing. I was actually going for something else and I accidentally cut this off, so beggars can't be choosers, as you say. Anyway, so it's had one flush to set it up, and I'll flush it again tonight and we'll see how we go. So if we get mould and disease and it dies off, well, oh well, it's a learning curve sort of thing. But as I said, I think the flatlanders are underrated. I'm trying to get Gaudio into the flatlanders, but again, if he sees the speed at which the double flush hopefully will make things grow, he may be impressed enough to do some flatlanders. Maybe that's what it is. He thinks the flatlanders are no good because they're very slow growing, hard to grow sort of thing, but maybe the double flush will change all of that sort of thing. I've taken this one here, so it'll get some sunlight up there sort of thing, and I'm going to double flush this just to see if we get any reaction sort of thing, because that's basically newspaper cellulose. So whereas all the other things I'm doing are just on the surface and sand, so might have worked something out from there. The other thing is, from the double flush, and this is Barry Myers, right? The only sort of books I can afford are the old-fashioned books. I can't afford any of the Redfern things. They're just overly priced. And they're coming out of India at, $3 for 3 volumes. There's something being sold for $700 US, which is about $1,000 or just over $1,000 is. I mean, it's just out of my price range, sort of thing. So, I mean, I would like to buy them and have a bit of a read, but on the other hand, I'm also thinking there's probably not much ecology in there, true ecology, ecology that you can actually work on, and, well, if that's so, I should do this and everything will work. So basically the double flush is sort of really telling us the nitrogen side of the cycle. I'm just wondering whether all this pitting, I don't know if you can see this, pitting on these, and on things like Dione, you can see similar pitting on nicely grown plants, whether the pitting is something to do with the sulfur cycle, whether the soil is so acidic that it can't really get sulfur. You think because it smells like sulfur. I mean, Climo made this point, just because it smells like rotten eggs doesn't mean that it's actually H2S sort of thing. It could be some other compounds in there sort of thing. So Climo made that sort of point, which is rather interesting. So because I'm really into the flatlanders in a way, because I came out of WA reading these things, and there was this Edgar T. Wary article in the old black and white CPNs. As far as I know, the last one I got was in WA was this one. From memory, it turned up like in October of that year of 1977, basically, if I can remember. It's the last one from memory that I got in WA before going over the border sort of thing. So I think I got some of these other ones when I was here, came across sort of thing. So it's a very bleak time, basically, being ripped out of WA sort of thing. So, But as I said, when I first, it's hard to see the dates, because that's 77, and as far as I remember, they began in what happened to the South African kind of plant society. So that's very interesting. What happened there? Anyway. When they started off, I think they must have started off in 1971. Actually, it's a bit like my Karma's Plant Society. We actually had meetings earlier than we had bulletins, sort of thing. So, because in 1974, after seeing Phil Mann, my dad ordered them, sort of thing, and I got one set turned up, and then months later, I got this big bundle of it probably was only like 4 months later or something like that, of basically eight or I think it was 4 years worth or something. So there's some discrepancy between the amount of these I had and the actual time I should actually have them in. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, so that's why I got into these sort of flatlanders sort of thing, and you know, from the because when I came across the border, the late Ken Dale, you know, he asked me, what do you think this picture plant is? And you know, I flashed back through my mind in matter of seconds, sort of thing. I just blurted out, "Oh, is it a Louis Burke?" And he was absolutely gobspat and fasted or whatever. That you know, I was only like in my early teenage years. That someone in it was the only one who's ever got it had ever got it right, and that was solely due to the CPNs, because I used to go to the toilet and read them, you know, take a couple of issues with me and, you know, go through them. I was reading at a much faster rate back then. These days, you know, I watch 10 or 20 minutes of a program and that's about enough for me, sort of thing. But anyway, today's job is to I'm going to do 3 pots, I think. I'm going to go out and especially I'm going to do orchid bark potting mix. I'm going to do orchid bark itself, if it's going to work at all, and I'm probably going to do pine needles. So I'm probably going to have to go and get, mainly because I'm you know, I'm an honourable bloke, you know. When I chewed into Mobile's anal sphincter a couple of years ago, you know, it was only because I'd done, you know, pine needles in the past and hadn't been too impressed with them. But then again, it may be different now because it's really all about the double flush. So Mobile might be ending up doing the double flush. So you might be actually impressed by the double flush. It's not really anything to do with the pine needles or what you put on the top. It's actually the double flush that does the business, sort of thing. So anyway, I think that's over and out for this one. Okay.